Charles Darwin is still a household name, even though he died 150 years ago. His impact with his theory of the survival of the fittest has affected us so much. But it's interesting to try to figure out how that theory of survival of the fittest was formed. Like any of us, it's based on the context that Darwin had in his life. He had to look through his own lens, his own frame. And sometimes we need to understand someone's perspective before we can fully understand how they came to the conclusions that they did. I have a priest friend right now who's reading a biography of Elon Musk. And he said, it feels important with a figure like this who's so hard to understand to learn more about his past so that some of the things that are confusing can make a little more sense. The same thing is true for all of us. And when we look at Darwin, we see someone whose whole frame for looking at life was the Industrial Revolution in London, which was kind of like a scene out of West Side Story. You know, everyone kind of having to scrap for what they could get. Everyone living in these big tenements and working long hours and smog filling the air. And so, in his view, the thing that kept us going was the survival of the fittest. But there's another evolutionary biologist, Stephen Gould, who with a lot of others say that that's not the only theory that makes sense. In fact, Gould says, you can tell that Darwin was never a member of a crew on a ship. Because if you're at sea, survival of the fittest means nothing. It's survival of the person who understands teamwork. In certain situations, being fit or being the champion doesn't make a big difference. What makes a difference is if you're part of the crew. The same thing is true for any team sport. Ask Ted Lasso. Everybody knows that in certain situations, we don't need any hot shots. We don't need somebody to be a standout all on their own. What we need are people who know how to be part of a team. My dad went to forestry school in Syracuse, and so he got to spend a summer in his 20s out west fighting forest fires. And he always told me about the California redwoods. I did not get to see them until I was around the age that he was when he first saw them. After I graduated college, I got to go and experience the redwood forest. And I understood for the first time that song, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. They're amazing. We ought to sing about them. These massive, ancient forests. I have learned about redwood forests that the reason they're so ancient, the reason the trees are so big, the reason they survive so much is because of this intermingled root system that they have. Redwood trees have an incredible network of intermingled roots that allow them to work together and survive what other trees cannot survive. So when there is a forest fire, all of the trees that are burning can send out messages and say, help, I need water. And all of the other trees with the intermingled roots can send water through their root system to save the redwoods. That's why so often in California, you'll see a redwood forest that's been charred, but is still living. Because they can survive so much through their teamwork. It is not unusual for a redwood tree to be struck by lightning in the summertime. And no one would ever know. Deep in a redwood forest, who would ever know that a tree has been struck by lightning? But if that happens, many of them survive without any trouble. Because the tree that's been struck sends the messages, I need help, I've been struck by lightning, send me water. And the trees send the water. And this is well known in forestry circles. But there are many trees in the redwood forest that are struck by lightning in, say, June or July. And they smolder for July and August and September, and they keep getting water from all their friends, to October. And then the first snowfall comes and puts out the fire. And the redwood tree says to the others, I'm okay now, you can stop. Thanks for the help. That's how they've survived. That's why redwood forests are more ancient and taller and majestic than any other kind of forest. A lot of people ask the question, why do I need to go to church? Can't I worship God anywhere? Can't I just, sit with my coffee in the morning and think about God? Can't I go for a walk in the woods? And the truth is, yeah, you can meet God in those ways. But the reason we come to church is because we are like redwoods. Our roots are intermingled, and we're designed to draw strength from each other. We have to be part of the forest and not just a lone tree out on our own. We don't survive well when we're apart from the forest. And that's why coming together is a major ingredient for our spiritual joy, because we were designed that way. Many of you know the Rodriguez family. They're members of our school community. Their little son, Caleb, is a 4th grader this year. He has a little brother that was with us in Noah's Ark, but he struggled for a couple of years, and doctors kept misdiagnosing what was wrong. So by the time they figured out he had a brain tumor, it was very advanced, a little 6-year-old boy. All of us were horrified at that. And so I remember being at school one day when little Aiden was getting ready for a 9-hour brain surgery. And so Mrs. Stocker, a religion teacher, got up in front of all the kids in the Great Hall and said, Caleb's brother Aiden is going to have a 9-hour surgery today. So we're going to gather later today and pray the rosary for him and for the doctors while they do the surgery. He needs water. Send it through the roots. Time to send it through the roots. Time to get our brother what he needs, because all of our roots are intermingled. And there they were, praying the rosary for little Aiden, who today is cancer-free. That's how we're designed. We're designed like a redwood forest to send our support, our resources to one another. Just like in the forest, if one of us gets struck by lightning, it's up to the rest of us to send through that root system what people need to get through the hard times. And of course, this is the place where the taproot goes directly to God. It is true we can worship God anywhere, but there is a reason that we have been organized into families and cultures and societies for all of these generations. This is how we're designed. There's a lot of studies on how living that design makes us happier. But one of the most convincing ones is from about 10 years ago, where they did a big study on people focusing on those chemicals like serotonin in your brain that make you feel good. And this research determined that if you join a group that meets once a month, I was surprised it was once a month, but it's once a month. And it's a group of any kind for something positive. Maybe it's a pickleball group or a book club or a quilting club or a yoga class. If you just are part of that once a month, it increases your happiness to the same degree as if your salary got doubled. Once a month. That's how much we are designed to have intermingled roots. That's how serious this is. So this week, maybe all of us can take stock of what it means for us personally to be part of a community. What does it mean to be a part of this community? And what's your job right now in this community? Are you one of the redwoods that's on fire? Some of you are. I'm looking out at you right now. Some of you have been struck by lightning this year. You would say 2023 was one of the hardest years I've ever had. And what you need is to draw strength through those roots. Other people here are on a high for whatever reason. It's been a great time. Maybe we just had a baby or we're in love. And so we've got all of this joy that we can send through the roots to the others who are struggling. Some days we're the ones giving the pep talk, and other days we're the ones getting it. Can I recognize how important this is for me? That I may be in a season of prosperity, and so I need to give joy to other people. Joy is not something that we experience all on our own. By nature, it needs to be shared. So if we want to experience true joy, maybe we can start paying close attention to the way our Maker designed us.